So this is for Riviera Baraka, who wrote Somebody Blew Up America, asking who were the first terrorists, giving us a mirror to look into to see that we ain't so damn innocent. This is from Muhammad Ali, who said he wasn't going to war, lose his title because he wasn't gonna fight for a racist country. This is for Colin Kaepernick, who decided he would take a knee to make sure that it was the most peaceful way he could protest police brutality. And this is for us who are tired of having to take and take and take it when police make a mistake, talking about, oh well, hell, say her name, Breonna Taylor. Breonna Taylor, say her name, Breonna Taylor. This is not anti-war or anti-American. This is not anti-police or anti-military. This is not anti-flag or anti-anthem, but this is anti-stupidity and anti-arrogance. This is for everyone tired of watching our country going to others to clean up their shit like we ain't wearing the same stain-drawn underwear from way back when. Like we can't still smell the stench of 4 girls killed in Birmingham. Like we can't taste the blood dripping from Emmett as his body was placed into a place of decay, and we are still feeling the pressure in our lungs as we are trying to breathe like Eric Garner and George Floyd. This is for you who are just tired, and you who are just wanting more, and you who are just reaching for something but not finding it. We are here.
When I started on my journey of healing, I was searching for something. I was searching for understanding on, can a person really heal from trauma? Can we really pick up the pieces and live life again? During my journey of healing and understanding how life works, I encounter individuals who experience the same thing I experience when it comes to trauma and growing up in a domestic violence home and dealing with grief in life. And I said to myself, what if I create a documentary and let them tell their stories to really see, can we really grow and heal from trauma? And I also want to know, how can you heal broken roses in America?
We're so mixed, but I want to keep video. So this is our first show of many, and this is Jalil's first time MCing, right? So let's give him a hand. I know, dirty little secret, I exposed you, but we're going to have a good time tonight. Yeah, most of you already know me. My name is Alana. I own Earth Angel LLC, and this is Earth Angel Studio. Here we heal. We heal on purpose. So we're going to party with purpose too, right? Yeah. All right, so I'm so happy that all of you could be here. The ancestors are pleased. Yeah, so pat yourself on the back. You're doing something that matters with your time. We're growing the business. We have so many memberships available, everything. So just come talk to me after the show, and we'll see how we can build together. But in the meantime, we're going to listen to Jalil here. He has some independent music. He's an artist. He's been up here for about 6 months. So he made the transition from Virginia, and that's how we know each other. So he was supposed to tell a background story of how we know each other first. But, you know, I jumped in, so I'm going to let you take over from there. Tell them how we know each other, Jalil.
So I was with this group in Virginia, and one of her good friends was in the group also. So I dropped the good friend off at the airport. She said I was going to Milwaukee. So maybe like a year later, I ended up moving out here. And I was like, yeah, what's up with your friend and whatnot? She gave me her info. But 3 days later, I picked her up in an Uber. An Uber though?
Yeah.
It's 500,000 people out here.
I ran over today.
My name is Shanice, and I am a survivor of domestic violence. I have experienced it throughout my lifespan. It is a very serious situation for me, and I would like to make other people aware of red flags and things that just shouldn't be ignored. And I think that in relationships, sometimes you can't decipher the difference in what violence is.
So my name is Anita Leonard, and do I believe that a black woman could be whole again after being abused? And I would say yes. My personal experience has been that after coming to terms with just the dichotomy of like life and experiences, that like once we get to a space where we can understand like how we've been conditioned, how we've been pushed and molded to fit other people's needs, and how those other people have been molded to fit other people's needs, and how we break that cycle, we interject ourselves and our spirit and who we feel we are deeper inside, everything just becomes more aligned. I personally feel like working through my own stuff with my mom was a blessing, because it started pretty young. I was 18, 19, about to leave for college, and my mother chose to, she wanted to talk to me about stuff, but I didn't really want to talk to her unless I like expelled everything. I was like emotional as a kid. I was just like, oh, I need to expel all the things. And so I wrote her like a 6-page letter, and we sat down at a coffee table in Collectivo on the east side, and sat there from literally the time it opened to the time it closed, and talked through everything. And I had questions about my childhood. I had questions about things that from my perception, and having that literal time, heart to heart, and really expelling everything. Ever since then, we've had such a close relationship, and that's helped me heal and start my healing journey. But I never realized how it impacted her. She started a whole different journey separate of me that I literally just was able to see, but she never was like, oh, I'm doing this because of this, but it was just like naturally what happened because she took those chances. I started a break in the generational curses that were, continuing in my family. And I did not know it. All I did was sit there and question and ask why, and really sat there and tried to understand where my people came from. Not only my mother, but where my grandmother came from, where my aunties came from, and how they started their schooling and being socialized, and what brought them to their depression or their anxiety or their, being all over the place and whatever, what helped me create this childhood of mine.
You should want to be you. I just want to be me. Time to break all them chains. I just want to be free. I just want to be free. I just want to be free. Sometimes you give it and they take it. Rushing you there when they late. The funny thing about love, that love turn into hate. They want to see good, but you know that you're great. They say that it's love, but you know that it's fake. It's too late. Ain't no looking back. Boy, I've been the truth. Better check your stats. 12 with them over. One question with a weapon that. But you know that boy got bars like where they booked him at. Naked, but it's still my game. You know I'm ripping that. Roll it 6 times 10. Where your section at? Can't roll around my hood without protection, Jack. Treat them like they Haitian Jack. Take a loss, get it back. You know how to deal with that. I know how to deal with that. It's a war going on outside. Stay calm, yo. Even though sometimes I'm fed up, like Quantico. See my truth, the hand to jump in, like Geronimo. If he ain't trying to bye-bye, his mama knows I gotta go. Planted my seed just to watch him grow. R.I.P. to all my guys. Sometimes we gotta pull just one thing gotta know how to keep comparing me when I'm different. Accept that you tripping, console me, my feelings missing, you messing yourself up. And somehow you play the victim, never toward evil. I'm just trying to live, it's a difference. Never toward evil, I'm just trying to live, it's a difference. I just wanna be me. Time to break all them chains. I just wanna be free. I just wanna be free. I just wanna be free. Sometimes you give and they take, rushing you there when they late. The funny thing about love, that love turned into hate. They want to see good when you know that you're great.
Okay, so I am Mason. High Insight Art is the LLC, and that is where all of my art will be distributed through trust, and that means as far as Proverbs 4:23, that's the piece that is that's leading the show, and it talks about again, Proverbs 4:23 says, "Guard the heart, because out of it are the issues of life." And what we know about life is that it comes in many different forms. It comes from many different places. The question was, how does a person guard their heart and still be vulnerable? Well, we're going to talk about what I would state as the unconditional love. Everybody is talking about what's unconditional, right? So moving into said unconditional self, you're going to be hurt. Number one, you need to know that. Number two, you're going to be challenged. Number three, you're going to be loved. And I say that with the utmost respect, because people are peopling. They love differently, they love how they will, and they love how they choose. So it's a double-edged sword in and of itself. The only thing that matters from me to me in regards to the heart matter is that it is always unconditional. I literally have a tattoo of a heart on my sleeve. I wear my heart everywhere I go. Why? Because I want to give the world, the universe, an opportunity to love me, to hurt me, to be a part of me in whatever way the universe has them fit to do at that date and that time. Right place, right time, right you, right everything that is involving who you are and what you are. And one thing that I'll bring in regards to Proverbs 4:23 is that you also have the scripture where it talks about that gifts and callings are without repentance, and that if that person, and this is my interpretation of those two together, people will come again and they will do things, they will say things, and they will be things for you, to you, and about you. What's important for you to do is to not limit the amount of pain you accept, only that it is transformative and not degradative. All right, so that's in the principles of the 120. I don't know if y'all know about the supreme mathematics, but they talk about the build destroy. You can't have one without the other, and it's a cycle that goes on and on and on and on and on. Fed up is not a thing. Tired is not a thing. Why? And I say these things with the utmost respect. You're not tired. You've been revealed. It's been revealed to you. You're not stressed. You're excited about the change. You're not down. You're underneath. How can I say it? You've turned this new rock. You've turned this rock. You've left no stone unturned. And so those are just a few places that I would reference. And again, guard your heart, because out of it are the issues of life. And I don't say guard as in keeping it to yourself. I say guard in the sense that you give it knowing that it's going to come back. You give, you get. Push, you pull. The up, the down, as above, so below. All of those principles. I don't know. What can I say, man? The heart is the heart, man. Let it beat.
Healing isn't easy. It's not waking up in the morning with a cup of fresh brewed coffee with the cream and sprinkles while breathing in the fresh aura of bloomed flowers on a new spring day. Watching animals frolicking and playing in the dewdrops warmed by the sun. Feet planted in the soil, grounding is good for the soul. It's not hitting that big million or riding around with your friends, reminiscing on the oldies, smoke in the air. Blasting Don't Want No Scrubs No, healing doesn't compare to waking in cold sheets, hair a mess with the smell of last night upon your skin, then whispering in your ears, are you ready to go again? Instant gratitude and satisfaction. No, healing is hard. Not just a little bit. It's that I'm crying and don't know why, but I have to keep pushing energy. Comfort with cold coffee because your 3 children can't seem to survive without screaming mommy. It's bothered moments and unbothered times. Like zoning out to TikTok and being shocked to reality by a bill collector call. Now isn't that ironic? It's walking barefoot on steaming hot concrete floors because the dog has run off with your shoes and somehow ripped the toe out of one of them. It's riding around with 3 flat tires, 2 pennies in your pocket, and the police in your rear view while you scream fuck the police cause you know you just busted out all of that nigga windows cause you caught him with that hoe once again while your bed lays bare and food cold. But when you make it through, man, listen, healing is being in a fog of confusion, yet knowing that you're safe and clean. It's constant triggers, yet knowing how to dodge the bullets. Smiling and happy for no reason because it's a Thursday. So buckle up, hold on tight, be ready to fight, and enjoy the ride. Every day will be different, but that's the joy of healing.
Hello, my name is Courtney Francois, and I am a family violence, domestic violence survivor, and I am here to tell my story. I guess my story started maybe 99, 2000 when I moved to Milwaukee. My mother was in the military, and from her being in the military, you know, she moved around, she met a lot of different people, and by the time we came here, she was in her 30s, and she was kind of just focused on her. I had 2 older brothers she had left behind, and while she was on her search of herself and of a spouse, she really didn't pay me much attention, and if she did pay me attention, it was like yelling, a lot of verbal abuse, a lot of physical abuse. I remember we had a big house, and besides my mom hitting on me sometimes, she had this room inside of her room that could be a walk-in closet, and sometimes she would lock me in the room inside of her room, and I was maybe in like 9th grade, 8th grade, something like that. And I remember around that time she had a lot of different pills. She has lupus, and I think she also had cancer at the time, so she had a lot of different pills, and I remember taking some pills and attempting to commit suicide. But I remember not taking any pills that were too harsh. It was like I knew I kind of wanted to commit suicide, but just on the safe side to make sure we don't die. We're just going to take a whole bunch of these other pills. And I remember I woke up and I was just so energized and like ready for life the next day, seeing that it failed. By the time, well, if we go back in the story, because that was like high school, but I remember 8th grade, she had married this guy when we moved here in 6th grade that she had just met. So by 8th grade, I was stealing cars. And me stealing cars, I was taking her car. She had a boyfriend previously that taught me how to drive her car, and he happened to be a con artist. So I was taking her car and stealing her car at night, and I remember once I left out my cousin, she was supposed to watch out and just make sure everything was okay, and they must have woke up, and I was driving back around to pick her up, and everyone was outside. So as I drove past the people that were in the car, I let them out the car, and he came out in his van and chased me, and I drove to the back of the house and hopped out. And as I ran to the front of the house after hopping out my mom's vehicle, I remember getting punched in the face from the back, and I just flew in the air. And I remember him standing on top of me, just punching me in the face. And it was like I was punched so many times that I saw stars. It's like you see the stars in the cartoons and stuff, but it's a cartoon. You would never think that people really see stars, but that's a sign of a concussion. And I remember my cousin was here from Atlanta, and he had walked up the stairs and punched her in the face. And she kind of just slid down the house. My mom, though, the whole time it was happening, you could see her in the doorway watching all of it. You know, the police came, I was in handcuffs, and then they ended up letting me out. And then after we went back in the house, then
we proceeded to get a whooping by this man after being beat up by him. And yeah, I think that might have been the beginning of me and my mom's relationship just getting worse and going south, and maybe the beginning of a whole bunch of deep trauma that has never been dealt with. But maybe by my 11th, 12th grade year, I had just kept moving around. I called my mom one day, like, I have nowhere else to go. And the guy who she had over that night, she had moved in with him. She had sold her house and moved in with him. So I guess they had a conversation, and they said I could come and stay. So it was okay. I mean, he didn't really talk to me. I was there maybe the summer, because he was kind of mean, and he had a drop top black 2-door Jaguar. So seeing me being the person that I am, stealing cars, I was stealing his car and taking it at night, cruising the city, picking up friends. And one morning he came in, and she was standing next to him, and he was like, "Bitch, if you take my car again or you touch my car, I'm gonna fuck you up." And I remember looking at my mom like, just gonna let him talk to me like that? And she walked away. So later that night, I stole his car again. And it just happened that this night, there was a lot of traffic out, a lot of cars, and the police tried to pull me over. And I sped off. And like most people say, a lot of kids, they get these things from the video games. And I most definitely learned how to drive from a video game, from Gran Turismo. I knew to slow down when hitting the corners, and all from a video game, yes. But during this high-speed chase, I crashed. I hit a tree. I hopped out. I ran. I got away. And I had someone take me back to their house before the police got there, before they woke up, and I packed all my stuff. I only had a suitcase. I packed up my little suitcase and I left. So maybe the next day, maybe a few days later, I called my mom, and she was like, "Courtney, you crashed that man's car." This wasn't to me. I just, like the youth now, I didn't care. I felt like you would talk to me in a crazy type of manner. It was like, fuck your car. And then it's like, well, fuck you. You just steady leaving me for all these random people and all these random men, and leaving me in these random situations. Fuck him and his car. Fuck y'all. And that's the way I felt. And to this day, I don't feel like fuck my mom, but I can't spend a lot of time around her. I could spend maybe 30 minutes. It's something in my spirit that just being around her, it just irritates me, and it irritates my spirit that I just can't. I don't want to. We can talk on the phone all day, but being in each other's presence, and she wants to be friends and wants to spend time, and I can't. I don't want to. And the different things I went through with her, it led to abandonment issues and different issues in relationships. And I didn't even know I had abandonment issues until last week. I had never considered myself abandoned, but clearly I was, being kicked out, and your mom putting all your stuff outside for the people in the neighborhood to get. You are being abandoned. I remember I got really, really sick somewhere in high school and had to go to Children's. And I remember the police officer came in there, and he was like, "Yeah, so we have you marked down as a runaway." And I'm like, "I didn't run away. My mom kicked me out." So they called her, and she had to pick me up. And while leaving the hospital, she was like, "Hey, you can only stay tonight, and you got to be gone by the morning." And just looking back on those different things now, and the way she treated me and my brothers, and I remember then, I just always said, I'd never treat my kids like this. I would never. But then it also, the different things I experienced, being in the world, dealing with different people, different men, running into pimps, running into friends that aren't really friends, it made me, I never wanted a daughter in this world. And luckily I had all boys. But the different experiences you have, it affects you in so many ways that you don't know about in your relationships, in your friendships. Also not having a dad around, just all these different men, and then her not really caring. And now as I get older, I hear more of her story, and it sounds like my granny wasn't really shit. It sounds like my granny was the exact same way, and would just leave them for men, and just that's all she cared about. And as much as my mom didn't want to be like her mom, she was just like her. So many stories she would tell about my granny and not realizing that the things you were saying about her, you've done those exact same things already. So she never dealt with her trauma. And she had to start having kids at 15. And I guess she was just, living life. And most people say that we should forgive our parents because they were trying to heal and going through what they were going through. But it's a bitter forgiveness, but not really. It's like, I went through a whole bunch of shit and I chose not to treat my children fucked up. I've chosen to be different. I've chosen to love them a different way and not put them through what I went through. So, yeah, I don't know if I have healed from anything. I don't think I have healed, but I am trying to break that generational curse. Because I see from the children that my granny raised, they're all fucked up. And almost all of their kids are fucked up. Everybody, all of us have done fucked up things and been raised by fucked up parents and are trying to make our way. And I have just made sure to try and navigate my life in a different way, even though I have all this trauma and I have anger issues and I have a lot of issues that I'm trying to work through. But I try to make sure that does not bleed down to my children. So when it comes to, do I feel like I am in a prison mentally, emotionally? I would say no. I feel like I'm pretty open with my emotions. I'm pretty open with saying the things I have to say and expressing myself. But I guess sometimes I feel like I'm in a space where, I guess with my mom, sometimes I cannot. It feels like maybe just a brick wall all the time. It's not like I'm stuck or trapped or can't get out of this space in my head or emotions, but it's like it's like my mom is, and I want to help her get out, and I can't. So it's like I find myself sometimes stuck in certain areas by trying to help her move forward. But no, right now, I think the issues that I am struggling with are the issues from my past relationship that I'm healing from now. It's like I feel like I've done a good portion of healing from my mom. And sometimes my oldest son helps me with it. It's like I go back and try to mend the relationship and the mistreatment she is given. I mean, she has passed it on. It hasn't stopped. I mean, my oldest, he doesn't like her. My younger ones, they don't really like her. My oldest doesn't want to talk to her. And I remember saying the other day, like, you're just really good at cutting people off, aren't you? And he was like, yeah. I'm like, do you give people chances? And he was like, yeah, but I've given her a lot of chances already. And then it made me think, like, well, he's only 15 and I'm 34, so I know I've given way more chances than him. So why am I continuously trying to give more chances? Why am I steady chasing after her? What is it that I want, or what am I looking for? So sometimes, our children, they help us look at ourselves and, question ourselves and dig deeper. Like, why am I chasing her? If she doesn't want to talk, or if she does want to treat me this way, is it still me looking for that mother, still looking for that relationship? And I know at the root of it probably is, because who doesn't want that mother-daughter relationship, that bond? But I mean, I'm about to be 35 in a couple days, and if I don't have it by now, I just don't see it coming. I don't see it being created, so why am I still chasing it? But I guess it's just something in you. It's something that you crave. It's something, if it's something you want, it's something you want, especially not having a dad. So I think that leads to me sometimes trying to fill that void with her. And when you have the euphoric recall, thinking of all the good things of a person, the good times of a person, the ways they are a great person, that can lead you to going back and trying to fix it and trying to mend something. But there are always good parts to people, good parts to situations, but it doesn't mean it has to be, even with a parent. And I have to ask myself, besides her being my mom, what do I want from this relationship? What am I chasing her for? And it's really just because she's my mom. Because if she was a person on the street, I wouldn't care. So it's really just the title of, you're my parent, you're my mom, and you should be in my life, so I want you here. And I think I've grown past that now. So as I continue doing therapy, as I continue working with the youth, as I continue having these different conversations with my friends and my children, all those different things are forms of therapy for me, forms of healing, forms of getting through these situations, having friends and people that tell me the truth about myself. A lot of people don't have that. They have people that just agree with everything they say. And I have a lot of people that tell me the truth and tell me my issues and tell me how I'm constantly battling myself or creating issues for myself due to, I guess, things I've been through in the past. So I'm working on it daily. I didn't realize how much I talk about my past. I mean, my children know about my past, and they're 6 and 8. They could tell you a good portion about it. So trying to not speak on it as much, not be stuck there and stuck in those feelings as much, and just using it as a tool to help others. That is what I'm working on now.
Ensuring no sticks and stones broke the earth from solitude, for she deserves rest. After completing the test of self-revolution, for it was not his fists that she feared, but the lack of love that she desired. And oddly enough, only showing his face as he left her shattered upon the bathroom floor, battered and tired. She found self-revolution. No longer willing to take another beating, she rests peacefully so that you can finally see me, the rising phoenix.
I am Amber Pulliam. I am the CEO of Progressive Minds LLC. I am a business coach, life coach, mother, which that really should come first. But more than anything, I am just a child of God who is just completely humbled in my experience. Um, I started my business like 3 or 4 years ago at a really, really rough time in my life where I um really just saw my life going nowhere. Like right before I started my business, a lot of people don't know this, but like I attempted suicide. Um I was drinking very heavily and I had drunk, so I got one of those fifths of Hennessy. And as I'm upset. Me and my ex had just broke up, which is my youngest child's father. And I'm in the garage, cars running, and I'm just drinking. I'm drinking. My family's calling me. And they're like, Amber, what's going on? Amber, like, answer the phone. And I'm like, no, I don't want to be here. Leave me alone. Well, unbeknownst to me, my father contacted the police. Like, so they pull up, like, right behind me on my driveway. And I'm just like, I'm crying and I'm drinking. And they're like, what's going on? Do you not want to live? Like, they asked me serious questions. Long story short, I ended up waking up in a hospital bed. Um, I was so delusional and didn't even know where I was that I attempted to get up in my nightgown. Don't even know how my clothes got changed. That's how intoxicated I was. And I'm walking across this field in the middle of the night, and police officers are kind of have to, like, they're chasing me to retain me. They handcuff me. They get me in the squad car. They handcuff me back to the bed. And I woke up the next morning and I remember calling my dad. I'm calling my dad and I'm like, Dad, I don't know what happened. Just can you come get me? He's like, oh, I'm out taking your brothers to the movies. I was like, oh, do you realize like I'm in the hospital bed? Like they arrested me last night. They're talking about, you know, that I'm at risk for myself. Like, do you have the kids? Like, do you where are the kids? Well, yeah, I have Amelia, which is my daughter, and I have, and no, your ex has your son. And I'm like, okay, well, can you come get me? No, no, because we're going to a movie. So I'm laying in this hospital bed. I'm already feeling alone by myself. My dad is maybe 20 minutes away, probably not even 20 minutes. He doesn't even come get me. I call my mom. My mom is 600 miles away. She calls and I call her and I'm like, Mom, can you come get me? She's like, what's happening? And I'm like, I attempted suicide. Again, this is my second time, by the way. Both times ended up in the hospital bed, and both times my mother rescued me. I'm laying in the hospital bed, and she's like, okay, I'm on my way. My mom literally drives 600 miles, right? And she's there by the nighttime. They discharge her to me, well, me to her. And um, I was so angry and I was so hurt because I had all of this family here that I called on to come and get me, and they just didn't show up. I haven't even shared this story, um, because out of fear of being in a small town and really exposing, not necessarily exposing, but just sharing that part of my family, who to the world is like this perfect, great family, how um, they will call me when they need me, right? That's a trauma for me, a trauma trigger. They will call me when they need me, but when I needed them the most, it was more judgment. It was more, you'll be fine, you're okay. Like you'll get over it, right? I'm not coming to get you. I got this going on. But that is what made me realize like there are so many people that are going through the same things that I'm going through, and they don't have that person to go to. They don't have that person to pour into them. And I actually didn't even plan on sharing this story today, but God put it on my heart to share it because I've been silent about it for too long. Just to let you know, like now I have a business that I have started up north in Wisconsin and moved down south to Tennessee, and it is thriving. It is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. I have clientele that is bringing me in more money that I could have made just working at a job. And I still work, but the point is, it's like I'm the happiest as I ever been. I love myself. Like I truly love looking in the mirror and looking at myself and saying, "Wow, like you really come this far. Like how dare you try to take away something so precious, right?" Um and through this transition has been the most difficult because my parents literally saw me being handcuffed to that bed from to being the successful person that I've come to be today. And I've had so many people that I've lost. Um, my ex is a narcissist, like a full blown, like I will gaslight you and belittle you because you don't want to be with me, narcissist. Like, and no matter how much I heal, I still get anxiety when I know that I have to even talk to him because in the back of my mind, I'm like, oh my goodness, I can't talk to him. I can't talk to him. He was very verbally and emotionally abusive. And it took me 3.5 years before I even opened myself up to dating again. Um, when you're talking about as a black woman who the reason why I wanted to commit suicide, the reason why I didn't love myself was because I grew up through years of being emotionally, verbally, and sexually abused, and it was overlooked in my family because how dare you expose our secrets, right? How dare you speak up about what is wrong? Oh, that happens to everybody. These are the answers that I was getting. Um, oh well, that didn't happen to me, so how could it happen to you? You know, and it's just like, but it's not only happened to me, it's happened to my cousins, it's happened to my brothers, it's happened to it's happened, all this abuse has happened to, and we're talking about it as kids, and then adults aren't acknowledging it. Oh, I'm gonna get a lot of flack off this. If it's seen and people see it, I'm gonna get a lot of flack. But it's my truth. And from that, I would just say if I'm giving you advice, I would just say use that fuel because you can't control what nobody else do, but you can control how you respond though. You can use that fuel to exceed their expectations. I refuse to be a stereotype. I refuse to be a statistic. I refuse to let you tell me what I'm limited to succeed or achieve in life just because I'm black and just because I'm a woman. And it's very it's very triggering even just to hear that I'm beautiful because in my mind I automatically go back to the abuse that I sustained as a child. Um because it was more so, well, you were sexually abused, what did you have on? Like as a 9-year-old, what did I have on to allow a man, a grown man, to see me in an intimate way that he felt like taking my innocence was because of what I had on, right? So just give me a second. It's real. It's real, but I can tell you right now, you'll overcome it. You'll never, ever in life meet that balance where it doesn't trigger you. However, you can choose the thoughts behind it and you can choose the actions behind the trigger. I think about it all the time. I have a daughter. I think about her all the time. Is she affected? If it ever happened to her, how would I respond? How to react? If it ever happened to my son, how would I respond? How to react? I got all these plans, right, in my head. Like, okay, this is the strategy. If this happens to her, this is what we're gonna do. This is the steps we're gonna take. And it still happens. And if it does, then how do I acknowledge it? And if it doesn't, like, how do I prevent it? It's never going to end. It's always going to be in the back of my mind of who they thought that I would be. Weak, they thought that I would be nothing. They thought that I would be like them. They thought that I would succumb to my statistics and succumb to my background. But they didn't know how much of a purpose that God had on my life. I used to get so upset and I used to be like, why has this happened to me? I used to pray to God all the time. Why is this happening to me? Why are you having me go through this? This is insane. This is crazy. And he would like answer me clear as day. If I don't have this happen to you, how can you help others? I might have more triggers. Then I'll have to deal with it. But as of right now, most definitely. Because it was a time where I couldn't even speak about this without crying or without getting choked up or stumbling over my words, and I share freely because it is a part of my testimony. It's who I am. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with I didn't always have great thoughts. I used to hate myself. I didn't like my life. I didn't like the way I looked. I didn't like who I was becoming. I didn't like it, and I poured all negative things into myself until the little piece of me that I thought was there was stripped away until I just didn't want to exist. I can say that. And I can also say right now, there is not even a single thought in my mind that would make me go back to even being that person because I don't even recognize her anymore. I don't even know who she is. I don't know what she stood for. I don't know who she was. But I can tell you right now that I love myself so much, I get a paper cut and I'm crying. So I don't even want to hurt myself. I don't want to remove myself from this earth. I have a purpose. I have a God-given right to be here. I was born to do exactly what I'm doing right now. And it's only going to get better.
Are you joining the circle? Yes. Yes.
Come on, shy girl. Like, why you gonna
We
be shy?
don't know what that other word means, so yes.
You already here.
Right.
Oh yeah, and it's not what you think. Like, we ain't getting all up in your business.
Unless you want to see. You are here looking at somebody else, you're doing the wrong thing. I like mirror magic because we reflect our energy back. So you should be concentrating on yourself. If you're not looking in the mirror, you should be looking down at your body. Nobody else is here with you in this room. I'm not even here with you. Like, so we just want to focus on moving the healing, moving energy around in our body, okay?
It's Feminine Fridays Healing Circle. So just want to show gratitude for everybody being here. I did not expect this many people to be here. I'm tripping a little bit. So just so happy to see the growth. Let's do names, introductions, and then right after that, we'll jump into blessing, open up the circle with some movement. Trust me, you're gonna love this. The journey to open Earth Angel Studio. I wanna say it started back in Virginia, and we're gonna put 2017 on it. I had found a little bit of momentum with the open mic scene. I had a open mic that was to raise awareness and funds for causes like autism awareness and just various other causes in the city. And that was going well, but my personal life, namely my dating journey, was a hot mess.
And I was in my 20s, so I wasn't getting where and why and how. I was really running. I was running away from myself and what the issues that I really needed to deal with. Now, I'm not even aware of this back then. I have no awareness. I'm not conscious of it, that I'm doing things wrong. I'm doing what I feel is right, which is make money. So I'm hustling, I'm trapping, I'm working. I'm doing everything to chase the dream of financial stability. I crashed. I crashed out. I was at one point, I had a full-time job and was a full-time student, all at the same time. And I think it was in that moment, a lot of other things going on, craziness, where I said to myself, like, this can't be what I exist for. This cannot be where my life is leading. Up until then, I felt like maybe I was holding on for sure anger of being a single mother and not having planned to be a single mother. So I think it was at that point that I said, let's get some paper and let's get a pen now. I know that sounds crazy, but the magic of manifestation is in a pencil or pen and paper. I got down in my notebooks and I started writing out what I was looking for out of life. And from YouTube University, I learned how manifestation is to work, and even when you're writing. So I said, hey God, this is what I desire, but also this is what I want to do for it. There needs to be an exchange of energy. So I remember even getting chills right now. I remember writing all of this. I remember writing everything that I'm experiencing now. And the only thing I would say that I didn't write down was the fact that the healing journey, it doesn't stop. I felt like at the time, the reason why I was writing that stuff was because I didn't want to hurt anymore. Thinking that material gain, financial stability, status, just a security, relationship, was going to make me then feel whole and make me then feel happy. But as far as the persona that I wanted to feed into so that I could look in the mirror and felt like I was important, that ego got real big. And once you mix that with realizing that people around you don't fuck with you, you become like a villain, like a super villain. And when I started feeling this dark energy inside of me grow, I went upstairs to my room. The whole top floor of my house was just my bedroom, my closet, and my bathroom. I went up there. At the time, that's when I got my cat, Sage. She's a little kitten. I went up there and I started getting down with, I didn't know it at the time, but like the healing circle, my solo healing circle. I'm putting on my music. I got my black salt. I'm doing protection circles around myself. I'm dancing in them. I'm burning sage. And some nights it would get kind of like even wacky, because if you new to it and you just following behind like this feeling inside of you, this urge to dance, this urge to do mirror rituals and look at yourself. And you know, I used to stare in the mirror right into my eyes to try to see my soul and just speak to myself and say, who's in there? Because there were people that were accusing me of not knowing who I was, and it would infuriate me. Like, I know who the fuck I am. I mean, I'm 20, I have no fucking clue who I am. I was who I thought I wanted to be. And then I realized that that's not really who I am. That's the false path that I started my journey out on in life. I did keep a sense of understanding that all of this is happening because I done got off course. So every time I would get my ass kicked out there in the world, it only served as a redirection to get back on purpose. Get back on purpose. with the power of your mind and the power of healing, you can take away the discomfort that sometimes we think that we need to experience, the pain that we need to experience. Pain, that's a human construct. Your spirit, your soul doesn't want you to have all that discomfort, especially when it's unnecessary.
He put a sound mind in me. No more in fear I have to be. He put a soundness in my flesh. No more sexual conquest. I think more of myself, not less. I no longer rent out parts of me, so I don't feel lonely. I no longer live in silence, hiding domestic violence. I'm done beating up on me, covering up my bruises, so I think you can't see. Makeup can't hide what a life without Christ has done to me. I'm a new woman, crushed and molded by the potter's hands. The word says he'll beautify the flesh. I look nothing like when this journey began. He's done a new thing, and the old is washed away. I'm cleansed as he answers me when I pray. I'm a prepared vessel according to the Lord's plan. And when he sends a husband my way, I won't damage that brother today. For we both are a product of thee, well put together and walking in victory.
Healing for me means becoming the best version of myself. If I spend the time to become the best version of myself, starting with the inside of me and working outward and then from head to toe. So healing becomes a healed person mentally, and then he becomes a healed person physically. So do the work. Do the inner work is what they call it. So to heal, you got to work on you. Do I think that I'm healed? Yes, I do. I spent a lot of time working on the person that Ed is. People look at the accomplishments, but you have to become the person that can do it. You have to become the person that can get up day in and day out consistently and be the best that you can be. And that takes a lot of work.
Go ahead.
My name is Kwabena Anton Nixon. Kwabena means male child born on Tuesday. They are the inspirator, he who gives light to great darkness. Anton is the name I got from my grandmother, which is Annie. And Nixon is the last name of my father, my grandfather's, as I would say, captives. All right. I was asked, I'm a poet, I'm a writer, I'm a speaker. I work throughout the community and throughout the country, telling young boys and ensuring them that they can live long and not die young. So what does healing look like to me? Being vulnerable enough to say, hey, one, I'm not okay. Being strong enough to say, I need help. And finally, being able to, how can I say it, being able to show the resilience you have in doing things after something's happened to you. My trauma was growing up where I grew up at in Chicago on this west side. There's a lot of violence over there. I lost a lot of friends growing up. And my coping mechanism in the beginning used to be shut down. Don't talk to anybody. But when I found my voice in 6th grade, I started writing, and writing poetry led me to healing. Healing led me to speaking, and speaking led me not only to writing, but going back and healing others who have been damaged in the same fashion I've been damaged. And can black men heal? Definitely. But we need spaces. We need a space where men of color are able to sit, have conversations, be vulnerable, and not look at vulnerable as being weak, but look at it and see it as being strong. We need spaces where it's okay to break the stereotype and the myth that black men and men of color don't go to therapy or we don't see psychologists. We have to make that cool again. So healing to me looks like opening up and saying, I'm ready, I'm hurting, but I'm ready to get fixed so I can go fix and help with others.
During my discovery of the secrets of how to heal broken roses, which I identify myself as that broken rose, is that healing is a continuous thing. No matter what we go through, grief, family drama, trauma, anything that we experience in life, we're going to have to continue to heal. And healing starts with the mind. And once you control the mind and really understand the concept of life, you'll be able to blossom as that rose. You will truly find the beauty in everything you do.